Hey YouTube, welcome back. We are doing the very first official, unofficial weekend tournament build competition. So for those of you who don't know, Vision GL has been hosting these weekend tournaments for I think over 2 years at this point. And now, because I really miss PoE.Ninja from Path of Exile, I want to start collecting other people's builds. And I think this will be a fun way of doing it. So this past weekend was the Shaman Weekend Race. And Shaman's always kind of fun because the mastery itself is pretty underpowered. There's a lot of like weird points in the mastery. The skills aren't great. The mana situation's atrocious. Some of the skills are just laughable. Like there's a lot of weird stuff going on in Shaman. So when it comes to Shaman Weekend, people come up with some pretty clever ideas of how to juice up some damage. So, because this is the very first official, unofficial build competition for the weekend tournaments, we have 2 submissions. So here is submission number 1. This is build number 1 that we're looking at here. So let's read real quick. It says, build is a channeled Avalanche setup where you only channel to get 1 or 2 boulders out on a pack, and your high crit chance, like 75 or more, lets the bonus boulders finish the work. For my tournament character, I found a good cold damage per totem idol, so I used Thorn totems as well, but the 5th skill slot is really a flex of whatever you want. It could be Warcry, Ice Thorns, Thorn totems, things like that. The main idea for this build was to attempt to overcome the issue with the single target situations like bosses that I encountered last time that I played a high crit chance boulder avalanche setup. The problem was the damage on single targets was lower than packs, less targets to crit, and you can't regen mana while you're channeling. The resolution for this was through using Earthquake on high HP rares and bosses. So I assume that we're going to see a spell Earthquake setup because I see a staff here. The build boils down to one tap the packs with Avalanche, and then slamma-jamma the big stuff with Earthquake. Benefits of this build over a normal EQ build is that you don't have to pay the mana cost for the majority of the echoes and the arena combat, since dropping a few boulders is extremely mana efficient. Spriggan form was on the bar as a way to get all the mana back versus bosses. Okay, so he probably swaps into Spriggan form, casts a bunch of totems, and then swaps back to human form to get mana back on bosses. But in practice, this proved to be only slightly faster than letting the mana regen naturally, while also not being able to do anything for 4 seconds. I would probably use Leap in the future, Fury Leap in the future, instead of Spriggan form. So there's our explanation. I already kind of like it. We have base crit from a Prismatic Gaze. It said we had like 75 crit chance, so that's pretty good. I'm surprised not to see an offhand catalyst. Fun fact, offhand catalysts actually have a reduced drop rate for primalists. So anybody who actually got a good offhand catalyst during this Shaman tournament, like, kudos to you, because they have a reduced drop rate for some reason. So, feels weird, man. Alright, what else is going on? We have elemental damage, spell crit chance, we have Prismatic Gaze. We are level 84 characters, so we're a bit light on life, but it is what it is. How much mana regen are we building? Our mana regen is 19. So if we have 19 mana regen, and then we also have this node, so that's like +2 mana regen. So we probably have about 21 mana regen. Okay, got it. We have spell crit multi, mana regen in every single place possible. A crit chance ring, crit chance, looking for as much crit chance as possible. And then, wow, we have increased crit chance, increased spell crit chance. That is super uncommon to see on a 2-handed weapon. Actually, that's uncommon to see anywhere. Interesting. Alright, let's take a look at the passives real quick. See if there's anything that jumps out to us here. We have 25 points, we got some low life stuff. We have the Shaman special, where we have 20 points in Beastmaster, 17 points in Druid, and 33 points in Shaman. Because, of course, that's what every Shaman build looks like. Let's go Beastmaster first. We're not a melee build, so we're not proccing it ourselves, but we have all these points. I was talking to Lizard IRL earlier today, and he was saying that when he's not a melee character, he tends to like not take these 5 points in Porcine Constitution, and he instead just like grabs these first couple points. So I don't know if I agree with that, but I like that it's a consideration, because these points are just generally super strong. Next up, we have 7712. It looks like we wanted to get some extra attack and cast speed. I wonder how important cast speed was for this build, because it seems like we really went out of the way for this. Do we have Spriggan Pet? Yeah, we have Spriggan Pet, so we need at least 15 points there. Got it. And then for Shaman, we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some flat damage. We have all flat lightning damage. We could have gone cold, but we didn't. And this is adaptive, and then nothing else, right? Just like the one good points, and then nothing else in the Shaman area. I like it. Oh, you wanted the crit leech. Okay, so that was the point of taking these points here. You wanted to work all the way up to these 3 points, 3 out of 5. We're using Avalanche, and we're not doing the channel, or sorry, we're not doing the 80 mana cost thing. So the only time that I've ever seen someone use this is with the 80 mana cost. Like, you cast it once, you run around for 8 seconds, let your mana regenerate back up, and then you cast it again. This is like the auto bomber thing that used to be popular 2 years ago, right? So let's see. I'm gonna have to read here, chat. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a reader. I don't know what's going on. So it's targeted. Forms a circle around you. No, it's targeted. Falls in a larger area. Larger area. Larger area. Converted to cold damage. Got it. Boulders fall faster. Chance to summon an additional boulder. Okay. So you're holding down Avalanche like for 1 or 2 seconds. I guess like for 1 or 2 boulders, but you're spec'd into frequency. So it's probably even faster than that, huh? Cool, cool. And then we have our very first more multiplier. And then hits deal more damage while you have at least 1 totem. So we have 2 different more multipliers, right? And this is 10. Like 10 is fine. 7 is kind of on the low end, but 10's good. And then this is a 15% more damage multiplier. So we have two more multis. Boulders fall faster. Summon additional boulders. It's a split second to summon those 2 boulders. So it's less than a second. That's pretty cool. Okay. And then, of course, we have our idols here for chance to summon a Thorn Totem here, and then cold damage per active totem. And then we have our Grove Mind. So every time that one of those idols procs and summons a Thorn Totem, it's going to summon all 5 of our Thorn Totems. And we're using our Thorn Totems to get Shred. Earthquake, we have Spell EQ, so this is a pretty normal looking setup. We're going to be chilling enemies, more damage here, with the cone stuff here. I've seen some people not taking these nodes, not taking the potency, not taking the ground slam. It makes it much easier to hit enemies that are far out ahead of you, so I still tend to take these nodes, but I've been seeing people not take them. And the spell damage. Worth noting that this stuff is base damage, and all these base damage numbers on the spell node are not multiplied by the added damage scaling, because they're base damage, not added damage. Storm Totem is our movement skill of choice, because it gives you 40% movement speed, and it feels great. Let's see, shock effect. And then it's chilling enemies for us. It's chilling enemies for us, and it's chilling enemies. Okay, so it just like has excellent application of chill, which is great for Earthquake, more damage against chilled enemies. Got it. And then Spriggan is a pretty normal setup with as much adaptive damage for us, crit chance, crit avoid, and then making it as tanky as possible. Okay. You know, I've never seen anybody do this before, so I'm kind of into it. I want to watch a video now. Maybe we should make people submit like a GIF of their gameplay, or like a 1-minute YouTube clip of their gameplay. All right, so now we're looking at the second of our 2 recommendations. Sorry, now we're looking at the second of our 2 submissions for the build competition, the sweetest build. This is a shaman as well, and let's see. We have a couple paragraphs of text here, just like we did for the first one, kind of explaining what's going on. So it says, here's my build. Note that my actual stun chance is about 1,600 when you count Maelstrom stacks, about 18 Maelstrom stacks, along with shock. The build is mostly just vomit out a ton of projectiles and stun everything while slowly killing them, and the totems are for additional shred. I went double Spriggan on this build just to make sure, just to make it more likely that I could keep one up or as a corpse to maintain the aura during my arena push. I could realistically run Eterra's Blessing on Thorn Shield instead of Ice Thorns, but I don't think either one does very much for me. Lots of good uniques for this build that I never found. I was going to use Foot of the Mountain, which is the unique item that converts all of your dodge into endurance threshold pair of boots. but I decided not to, and I kind of regret it. I think it would have been a better decision. I just didn't want to redo my Fireboy's blessing, but I could have picked up a ton of stun duration that way. So the stun duration from, I was kind of surprised that this person wasn't using a Somnia. When you kill a stunned enemy, a different nearby enemy is stunned for 2 seconds. But like this doesn't scale on stun duration, but like it gives you stun duration, increased stun chance. I was kind of surprised not to see that. Maybe that would have been like too much ham, maybe? I don't know. So we have 2400 life, level 88 character, about the same as the other one. Chance to summon a Thorn Totem. Wow, stun duration idols. I didn't even know those were a thing. Stun duration here as well. Cool, cool. I wonder what the loot filter for this person looked like. And then we have crit multi, spell crit, armor shred, frailty, cast speed, frailty, hybrid life, cast speed, attunement, frailty, crit chance, crit chance, crit chance, crit chance, crit chance. And then we're using a shield. So we are a crit build, but we don't, I guess we have 8 base crit, right? We have 5 plus 8, so we have 13 base crit from using our summon Spriggan. So maybe we can get away with using a shield. It sounded like the damage from this build was a little bit low. Crit strike multi, while transformed. Spell damage while transformed. I like those a lot. Alright, let's take a look at the mastery first. And we'll see if anything weird was going on here. Pretty normal looking stuff at first. We do have the 25, or sorry, we do have the 5 points in Berserker here. And once again, we have the Shaman special. 20 points in Beastmaster, 23 in Druid, and 33 in Shaman. Sweet. We have some defenses coming in from Beastmaster. From Druid, we do have the extra 3 points in Bush Stalker, giving us the Health Leech on crit. So those are pretty good. Remember, that's nice for Spell Leech, because otherwise you have to like use a blessing for Spell Leech, right? This person used Void Res as their blessing here instead of the Spell Leech, but this node in Druid kind of gets around that, so that's great. And then from Shaman we have, so that's pretty normal looking. I wonder, so this is 16 adaptive damage, right? If this is 16 adaptive damage, do you think the Cold Pen, do you think 24 Cold Pen is better than that? I always wonder, like, for these Shaman builds, is a Druid just better? Is a Beastmaster just better? What if I only had my base mastery class? Would that be better? Poor Shaman, man. Okay. Just poor Shaman. Let's take a look at the skills next. We know that the Spriggan is here as well. We've trimmed a couple points out of defense in order to get these points here. Restores more health. They're healing each other because remember we have two Spriggan pets from this node down here in Spriggan form. And then extra dodge rating per attunement, sure. And let's look at the support skills, and then we'll look at Spriggan form last. In Ice Thorns, we just have a whole bunch of defense. Nothing particularly interesting going on here, but Ice Thorns does hit, so it can apply Shred, so that's nice. For Thorn Totem, we again have a very similar situation. We have Grove Mind, making sure that any time the Thorn Totem is procced, it's going to put down 5 totems, and then all of those are going to apply Armor Shred stacks. Next up, we have Maelstrom, which is going to be procced from Spriggan form by using our Spirit Thorns. We have Haste and Frenzy, which is kind of like a movement skill, if you squint. We have Duration, our additional dodge chance, which is great. These lightning procs. And then these nodes here, which I've never even considered taking. So this is 18 stacks? 18 times 60? Listen, I don't do math on stream anymore. 18 times 60. What is that? That's 1,000% stun chance just by using this node. If you had asked me what this node said, the one, like, you know, the one node after the fizz conversion, I couldn't have told you. Couldn't have even told you what this node was. This gives 1,000 stun chance. Holy crap, dude. What's the weapon we have? We have tier 7 spell crit. Wow, okay. I guess that helps make up for not having the offhand catalyst. We have cast speed, tier 5 stun chance, slow on hit with sealed physical damage. This is a tier 23 item. 24? Is it tier 24 item? Holy crap. What do we have going on in Spriggan form? We have our 1 more multiplier from Rose Meadow. We have some Pierce chance, some extra Fizz penetrate. We're a Fizz build, right? Yeah, all of our damage is Fizz. Okay. And then when you cast Maelstrom, you have a chance to... Wait, when you have a chance to cast Maelstrom when you directly cast Spirit Thorns, right? Then what do we have here? Some extra flat armor, percent armor. This node's great. You gain ward equal to this. We're just traveling down here to get this. I'm kind of surprised to see this. So normally, if your Spriggan dies, you can either stand on it to revive it, or you can just wait for it to die and then resummon it, right? Or you can take it off your bar, put it back on your bar. But if you're in Spriggan form, you don't have the possibility of just like clicking your summon Spriggan button to resummon another one. So grabbing a second Spriggan here just to make sure that you have as much uptime as possible, I don't mind that. I think it's pretty neat. But it does mean like the normal stuff that I would take, like all these extra nodes of having these things recast on you with Thorn Shield. This is what I would be doing. I would trim like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 points maybe and like put them in there. But I guess for what it is, I still like it because you don't really have that many points. I always feel like Spriggan form uses points so well because like you're kind of using it as your main DPS skill and you also want to use it for all this utility stuff down here. We don't need the Garden of Rage because we have this, right? Rage on Spirit Thorns cast? Yeah. And ward as well. I wonder how much ward they had, huh? Alright, so those are the 2 builds. So we had build number 1, which was a this is channeled Avalanche. And then build number 2 is stun Spirit Thorns. Alright, the votes are in. The very first unofficial, official build competition as an augment to the Vision GL weekend races. We pulled in 2 sweet builds and we voted on it. And the winner is Stun Spirit Thorns. This one right here. Making use of converted Maelstrom to get 1,000% stun chance. 1,600 stun chance against enemies. Sick. I love the sound of it. So this person will be getting a gift sub to my channel. It's not much, but I don't know. A little tiny piece of encouragement for people to participate. And a little badge of honor to have a sweet build as elected by your peers.